Richard Skipper celebrates. Every show is a celebration. Each show, Richard delivers the artists you love, showcasing what makes them unique. Never gossipy. The antidote to a sometimes hectic world. Now, here's your host, Richard Skipper.
Happy Monday, everyone, and welcome to the latest edition of Richard Skipper Celebrates. For those of you who are returning, thanks for coming back. And for those of you who are here for the first time, I'm all about celebrating artists and their body of worth. This is a very special week. This is my birthday week, and I have a milestone birthday this week, so I get to choose my own gifts. And one of my gifts is having our guest today, Andrea Marcovicci. And she has a new show coming up, which we're going to talk about later on in the show, called A Kern Valentine. Who better than Andrea Marcovicci to bring the love songs of Jerome Kern back to us? And this year, it's virtual. You can sit in your living room, you can wear your pajamas or not. You can celebrate any way you wish to with your favorite chocolates, your favorite champagne, your favorite caviar. I read it somewhere that Andrea's favorite meal is champagne and caviar. We'll find out. But in any case, anyone who knows Andrea Marcovicci knows the love that she puts into every show. And I am very, very excited to have her on the show today. But before you all meet Andrea, I put together a few of my favorite songs. Andrea Marcovicci.
Someone to love, someone to cradle in the dark of night, someone who'd know just when to hold me tight, when to let me go my own way. I just want someone to love, someone who'll take me just the way I am, who'll want to take a chance and won't give a damn about falling down. You know you can always get up again. We'll meet again, don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. Keep smiling through, just as you always do, till the blue skies drive the dark clouds far away. Oh, won't you please say hello to the folks that I know? Tell them I won't be long. They'll be happy to know that as you saw me go, I was singing this song. We'll meet again, don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. In summertime the sun will shine, in winter we'll drink summer wine, and every day that you are mine will be a lovely day, as long as love still wears a smile. I know that we'll be two for the road, and that's a long, long
Well, today it's just you and me for the road.
Oh my God, that killed me.
How are you?
You know what size I was? I was about a size less than 0.
Well, you're like a fine wine. You just improve with age.
Oh, thank you so much.
It's absolutely true. I'm so thrilled that you're here today. I'm such a fan of your work, as I've been from the moment that I first heard you sing. But before we get there, we are in the midst of a pandemic still.
Yes.
And I want to know how you are doing really in the midst of this crazy world we find ourselves in.
Well, I have had an amazing journey in the midst of this pandemic. It was revelatory for me, revelatory. At first, of course, like most of us, it was frightening and challenging, desperately scary because of the loneliness and the isolation. But I turned it around and made it work for me rather than against me. For the first time in my life, I looked at my home, which I've never, ever got to spend time in, ever. And I realized what a precious place it was. I had always been on the road. My home was a place where I unpacked and I packed. And then I unpacked, and then I packed, and then I packed, and then I unpacked, and then I packed, and I unpacked. I mean, it was a place of suitcases and closets, and I had never really, really lived here. So the first thing I did was I organized this house from stem to stern. And there was not one drawer that I didn't line with gorgeous paper. And every drawer now, I know what's in it. Every drawer. And I made the house my own for the first time in all these years.
Well, actually, you turned a house into a home.
I turned a house into a home. And then I attacked the garden. And I'm not a gardener. I'm not a homemaker. I'm none of these things. But I became these things. And I started to work on my body, which was loathsomely out of shape. And I got a trainer and I started lifting weights. I started doing yoga. I started doing Pilates. I stopped eating. I lost 25 pounds.
Good for you. Wow.
Then I got interested in Mexican tile work. Go figure. And I started tiling a wall. Yes, I was a little hyper. I was a little more. I'll give you that. I started tiling a wall with just tiles straight, and then I started cracking the tiles, and I tiled a wall with little bits of tile.
Where do you live? Do you live in the country? Are you in a suburban area? Where?
I'm in Studio City, which feels like the country, and it's only half a mile from Ventura Boulevard. But they're birds and trees and peacefulness. I made a garden based on my love of Mexico. I made a Mexican garden in honor of my mother. I was suddenly inspired to do art, and I can tell you something. I can't draw a stick figure, but I did art.
The lesson that I'm learning from everything that you're saying right now is to remove the word can't.
Yeah.
Because you're saying, I can't do this, I didn't do that, I wasn't this, but you are those things.
Well,
those things,
I took everything that I was yearning for as a singer, all of the passion and all of the inventiveness and all of the cheer and all of the sadness as well. And I put it into artistic projects and into decorating. I redecorated my daughter's room and I turned it into a B&B.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Well, it's not really, it's still her room. But when I showed it to her, she said, well, it's not my taste, but.
How often is she there?
Yeah, very rarely. But she said, if it makes you happy, and it does make me happy. It's just creativeness. That's all I wanted was creativeness. And I kept rehearsing with Brad Ellis. And I've been consistently rehearsing and working on my voice and coming up with ideas for shows. Now I was
Let me ask you a
watching.
question. Speaking
Yeah.
of that, excuse me for interrupting.
No, please do.
You announced last year that you were retiring somewhat. And what were the factors that factored into that? Because in this business, and let's face it, most times they retire us instead of us retiring.
Well, let me explain. I was retiring from touring, which meant that I was retiring from packing.
Oh, okay.
Because, as Peggy Lee said, the only good thing about dying is that you don't have to pack.
I love that.
I once counted how many times I had to pack in order to do a gig, and it was 8 times.
Well, Andrea, let's go there for just a moment, because I have been lucky enough to see you in so many shows, and you have impeccable taste when it comes to your fashion sense, and also when you do a show where you're hosting, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Each time you come back, you're wearing something that's even more spectacular than what you were wearing before. I remember, I'm not going to mention the singer's name, but years ago, I saw a very well-known singer who was wearing a very unflattering dress. And in the middle of the show, she left the stage for a video montage of her career. And I thought she's going to come back she was wearing the same dress. You know, and there's a great documentary that I want to recommend to everyone if you haven't seen it, called "What Would Sophia Loren Do?" Have you seen it?
No.
It's on Netflix. It's only 30 minutes.
I have to see
It is amazing. And so now I'm going to ask, what would Andrea Marcovicci do? And I also have to ask you, because I was immersed in your music today,
Mm-hmm.
Robert Streisand said that every time she would hear her name on her Alexa, that she's going to go off now, that she would hear her name pronounced wrong.
Uh-huh.
And so when I asked to hear you, it says Andrea Marcovicci. And I'm sure you hate to hear your name pronounced that right way.
Well, it's always Andrea Marcovicci, but
Mhm.
people have said Andrea. And as long as they don't say Andrea, okay, that's all right. But the fashion sense, that can backfire, because I once did a show at the 92nd Street Y, and I changed clothes every 10 seconds. And, and at the end of the concert, I found one of the lovely ladies from the 92nd Street Y in my dressing room. And I asked her what she was doing. She said, "It's a fashion show, yeah?"
And it was.
She was perusing through my clothes as if she was going to try some on, or whether she was going to order a number or something. It was just so great.
Well, you mentioned your mom earlier, and I want to talk about your mom. I mean, she was a singer herself, Helen, I think, and
Helen.
your father, Eugene. And in my research, your father was older than I am right now when you were born. So it gives me hope.
Yeah, it's never too late. He was 63 when I was born. My mother was 29.
And how did they meet?
They were astounding. She was 19 when she met him, and he was 52 and something. And they met on a blind date.
Well, that's wonderful.
They met on a blind date. They were set up, and he was a very well-known doctor in New York society. He was a society doctor,
Mm-hmm.
and he was known for his dancing. He was called the waltzing doctor, which was rather romantic. And he was sensational looking, European through and through. Wore a monocle.
Wow!
Which is, I remember him with a monocle when he read the menu at a restaurant. And he danced like nobody's business. He taught Arthur Murray to reverse in the waltz. Arthur Murray only waltzed in one direction until he met my father, and then he could go both ways.
That's
in
amazing. Well, that's
and
amazing.
I know. And people followed him from club to club just to watch him dance at the El Morocco, at the Stork Club, at places like that. So my mother was pretty much swept off her feet. And
How long a romance before they got married?
They got married about 4 years in, and then came my brother first, and then came me.
And how far did your mom go as far as pursuing a career as a singer?
She was at Bill Bertolotti's. She got the St. Regis Maisonette right around the time that Julie Wilson did. She got an offer to do a screen test, and my father put the kibosh on it, and that was it.
Wow.
And also, she was offered to go on tour with a big band, and my father wouldn't allow it.
So
he didn't want her on a bus with 27 musicians.
With good reason. With good reason.
I wonder why.
So, but you started out as, I think, as an actress, but your singing was, like Barbra Streisand, was the cachet to your acting career. Am I correct?
Well, I actually started as a folk singer in 1968. That's how I started. And then as fast as possible, I became an actress because I was too nervous to sing. It was just unbearable for me, unbearable. And I got a soap opera, and then I started singing on the soap opera, and that helped kind of ease the tension.
But which came first? Did they know that you were a singer, or did they write the book?
I told them.
Okay.
I told them, I showed them, and then they gave me little spots on the show to play my guitar and sing. You're not a dream, you're not an angel, you're a man. I'm not a queen, I'm a woman, take my hand. Like really, really sweet little things and stuff that I wrote. Can you imagine they let me sing my odious personal songs?
And this was Love is a Mini Splendor Thing, am I right?
Mm-hmm.
And how long were you with the soap? And did you like the discipline of doing that character over the course of weeks and days?
I loved it. Taught me everything everything I needed to know about camera, memorizing, discipline. I mean, just the best discipline. And I had a great director named Peter Levin who taught me so much about acting because I was unschooled, completely unschooled. I had 1 year of college acting, and then boom. And then from there on to nighttime television. It was just amazing what I learned from the soap. Wonderful.
Well, this may be an unusual question, but I've heard this from various people. Did you consider yourself ambitious when you were pursuing at the beginning of your career, or were opportunities coming your way because of the connections and your work ethic and the people that you knew?
I didn't have time to be what you would call ambitious. I was lucky. Super, unbelievably lucky. I went from one lucky break to another lucky break. When I look back on it, I think, how in heaven's name did I get that lucky? Because going from one job, which led to an audition for another, which led to an audition for another, which led to offer after offer after offer after offer. I don't remember having to be Machiavellian. I don't remember having to call somebody and say, remember me, I know you, and you know me, and I know you, how this is how. And I don't remember having to grasp. I do remember having to work hard. I remember having to steel myself against disappointments. I auditioned as much as everybody else did, and I lost as many jobs as everybody else did.
Did you like to audition?
Huge disappointments.
Did you like to audition, or was that a difficult thing?
I loved auditioning, and I still do.
What is it about the audition that you love, for those people out there who say they hate it?
I like the trickery. I like pretending that you don't care. When you really do care. I like making them look at you.
Mm-hmm.
Making them see you. Even when they don't want to look up from their table or their script or whatever it is that they're interested in, or their phone or their anything. I like making them deal with you as a human being and insisting on it or not doing the audition.
You mentioned the trickery.
That's trickery.
What was the trickery to get them to look up from their devices? Well, now devices.
Well, if necessary, waiting until they're watching. Hello. Hello. I'm here. I'm real.
And I want to ask you, who were some of the people that you met along the way who really have made the biggest impact on the steps in your career?
Well, Arlene Francis first, because she discovered me at a party when I was a teenager, and she put me on the Merv Griffin show. How does something like that happen? But it did.
Meeting Arlene Francis and being prepared, being ready.
Singing at a party, like, having the guts to just get up and sing at a party. Ray Fox was very instrumental, who became my first manager in terms of believing in my songs, because in those days I was singing my own songs. As I said, they were odious, but I was singing them. And then, as I said, Peter Levin, my director at Love's a Mini Splendid Thing, and all the directors I had in episodic television, because I learned something from all of them. Woody Allen and Marty Ritt for choosing me for The Front.
Mm-hmm. Great film.
And from that point on, Louis Friedman at Reno Sweeney, who chose me to do open mic nights on Mondays, and then he became my musical director for Reno Sweeney.
No, were you still singing folk music at that time?
I was doing really zany stuff at that time. When I was doing Reno Sweeney, I would open with fairy tales can come true, it can happen to you. And then suddenly I would turn on a dime, throw my hair over my shoulder and sing, it's a god-awful small affair to a girl with a mousy hair. I would do David Bowie, I would do Fred Astaire, I would do My Ship, and then I would do Give Me the Beat, Boys, and Free My Soul. I want to get lost in your rock and roll. And it was so weird. And I wouldn't say
it worked for you.
Say a word to the audience. Not one word. Not one word. Not even thank you.
Now, when you were doing this, were you thinking of this as a career path, or was this just a hobby for you?
Well, I had always wanted to sing more than act. And then that was because of The Front, I was able to put a nightclub act together, and I was able to get people to come. So it was pretty important to me.
And was that in the movies as well?
And then I got a record deal, which of course flopped big time, because I was produced by Barry Manilow's producer. And we did Just Call Me Angel of the Morning, Angel. We just did stupid stuff. So it didn't work. We didn't do what I wanted to do. I wanted to sing cabaret on record like Janie Oliver did, but we weren't allowed to, so that didn't work. And then I left for LA and I didn't sing for 5 years.
You did a lot of film work. And I have to tell you that in preparation for today, I watched, you're not going to believe what I watched last night. I watched Airport 79 Concorde.
I pity you.
Do you ever watch these films when they're shown again?
I'm smarter than that, Richard.
I put together a little montage.
I picture myself like that.
We put together a little montage for you.
Oh, you didn't.
But I'm only going to show it if you say, I have a huge sense of humor.
Of course I have a huge sense of humor.
Are you ready?
How would I have lived to my ripe old age?
This is my homage to Valentine's Day through some of your film work. Are you ready?
I love you so much.
Here it goes.
I want you to, I want you to know.
I know
You know?
how I feel about you.
That's what you know?
I don't have to know anything more.
Could I interview you for American television?
Are you crazy? What are you doing here?
My viewers want the whole story. You see, it's up close and personal.
I will scream if you don't leave.
Please do not scream. I'm just going to ask you a few questions. How does it feel to be a national hero? Would you look right into the camera? Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking today with Miss Alicia Roga!
Thanks for the interview.
Come back here, Robert Palmer. I love you, Robert Palmer. If we ever come in Moscow, I want to marry you.
Why wait? Do you, Elisa Rogoff, take me, Robert Palmer, to be your lawfully wedded husband?
I do.
And do you, Robert Palmer, take Elisa Rogoff to be your lawfully wedded wife? I do. Now pronounce us man and wife. Kiss the groom.
Alisa.
God bless you both.
I'll get it off you. I'll burn it. No, don't touch it. Don't touch it. Take your hands away. I'm gonna burn it.
Harden on my face. Harden on my face.
I'll kill you! Leave us alone! Leave us alone! Leave me! I tried!
Look at that. That's meant for us.
Killing him.
Faster, Cole! Hurry up! Move!
We gotta make it through that door. Come on. Oh, no. Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Happy Valentine's Day.
You chose so well.
No, I have to tell you, a big shout out to my assistant, Chuck Pennington, for putting that together.
It's so exciting. People love this stuff. They do.
Oh, it's great. I mean, I had no idea. Like I said at the beginning of the program, I have such an appreciation for you. I have an even bigger appreciation for you now, seeing all these incredible clips. But there are certain things that I want to talk about that were certain milestones in your career beyond these films. And the first, of course, is the Algonquin. And
It's everything.
Let's talk about that for a moment, how that came to be. And you broke all records there. Leslie and I were talking the other day, and I think that the only person who has done more weeks than you, not at the Algonquin, but at the Carlisle, was Bobby Short.
He did 35 years. I did 25 years.
Yes. How did the Algonquin come about for you?
Well, Donald Smith. I was at the Plush Room in San Francisco.
Oh, I loved it.
And I was watching a show that he was doing, and I was on voice rest. And I met him, but I wrote notes, and because I was opening the next night, and he hadn't intended to stay, but there was something about the fact that I would go to an opening without being able to speak intrigued him. So he went to see my opening night, and he said afterwards, we're going to work together. And he put me into the Algonquin a few months later. And because I had had so much notoriety as an actress, and I was basically doing a comeback to New York in 1987 after having not sung in New York since Reno Sweeney, and I had all these acting credits behind me, it garnered a lot of attention, and it became a regular run.
Mm-hmm.
And also because my show was rather revolutionary at the time. Marcovicci sings movies and other love songs.
Mm-hmm.
And it had such a through line, and it had so much character that was different from most nightclub acts at the time. And then every time I came back to New York, there was always another theme. So I gathered a crowd and a crowd and a crowd and a crowd, and they came back year after year after year after year. What's the theme this year? What is it going to be this year? And I was very fortunate with the critics being so kind, and it became a life experience unlike anything else ever.
Now, when you started out and you had this theme show, as you said, it was revolutionary. How did you go about choosing your material for the shows? Because I've seen several of your shows also, and I mean at the Algonquin, and not only the songs, but the backstory of these songs was so incredible. And it wasn't that you just got up there and spoke and spoke and spoke and spoke and spoke, as some people do, but you just got up and you hit those bullet points that were important for the audience to hold on to. When, where, and how did that all come together for you?
Well, each show would take almost a year to write. And the themes happened because I would have a collection of music, and I would look at whose music I had more of.
Mm-hmm.
When I did the Kern show, it was because I was attracted to more Kern than anybody else. When I did World War II, it was because Walter Cronkite said, why don't you do an entire night of World War II songs? So something sparked first, and then I start hitting the books. And I would collect book upon book upon book about that particular subject matter. And I would read maybe as many as 4 or 5 books and underline them and start collating. And I also collected songbooks, not to mention all the music that my mother gave me from her collection. And then I had this friend in San Francisco, Bob Grimes.
Oh, I know.
Wow. Well, was a source of unbelievable material, and Greg McKellen in LA, who was bringing me obscure song after obscure song during the Marcovicci at midnight, because at the Gardenia where I started, I had to do a new show every Saturday night. So my repertoire was enormous. And what a challenge that was. And what happened was coming and coming and coming and coming. And there were something like 30 different shows eventually.
Now, going back to your opening at the Algonquin, the first time that you were there, how many weeks did you do? Was it a shorter run? The weeks?
It was a very short run, and it was shorter than it should have been, because during the run, I damaged my vocal cords.
Mm.
And they had to bring me back in the spring in order to make up for that run. And I became a rather rarefied commodity because of that sort of, oops, a lot of reservations were not kept. And then they moved them to the spring. And then I came back the following fall. And then there were sometimes, well, there was one run which was 16 weeks long.
Amazing. Just amazing.
And then I got married the day after.
As you should. As it should. I
planned a wedding during that 16 weeks.
And when you were, the Algonquin became your home base. Mm-hmm. Did the rest of your schedule get booked as a result of the weeks that you were going to be booked at the Algonquin?
Mm-hmm. Because of the Algonquin and the yearly review from Stephen Holden, thank you, Stephen.
Yes.
I had bookings throughout the country. And that was the rest of the year. So I had my home base, and then I would go home for a short time, but then I would start traveling. Every Thursday I would leave, and every Sunday I would come back, and I would have Friday and Saturday in some other city.
Did you like being on the road?
I had the blessings of the road, and I had the torture of the road. I had both. Mm-hmm. And the torture was the packing and the schlepping and the carrying and the pulling and the suitcases and also, the endless amounts of sound checks and meeting a new crew every time and wondering whether they're going to understand the cryptic way that I would ask for my lighting, and am I going to be treated with respect, or am I going to be fluffed off like, oh, what do you know? You don't know anything. You're just a girl. I mean, these were very trying times. They're not always easy.
I read that Marlene
Dietrich, I loved it, mostly.
Marlene Dietrich always traveled with her music and with her lighting gels. Did you know this?
I traveled with some gels too. Thanks to Leslie. Thanks to Leslie Alexander, who got me my gels.
That's wonderful.
Well, but once or twice, we would re-gel the entire grid, and I don't think they loved us for that.
What was it about the Algonquin, beyond the historic aspect of it? What was it about that room that you loved the most about performing there?
Oh, once you got used to it, because, when I first saw that room, I said, this is impossible. This is a railroad flat. What are you going to do? Once I got used to the fact that people were all around you, and I got a backless dress, mm-hmm. and I had a backless back. I mean, wait a minute there. I got a great dress and a great back at the time. I adored the intimacy of being in the center of the room. It was really something. Mm-hmm. But you had to know how to play it.
How long did it take you to acclimate to the room?
About 2 days, because there was no choice. I was so used to communicating completely eyeball to eyeball with people that I sing for, that if I didn't quickly adapt to being able to turn and turn and turn and turn and turn and turn and turn, I would have been lost, because there's nobody in front of you. There are two people in front of you. If you continue to look at the wall, you're going to be dead. You would have been dead, absolutely dead.
And in relation to the your debut at the Algonquin, when did the cabaret convention start for you?
I think it was the following year. And Town Hall came soon after that too. when I did What Is Love at Town Hall.
Mm-hmm.
Things happened awfully quickly for me. I have to say that it was a whirlwind.
That's amazing.
Whirlwind. I mean, I just was looking at a Avedon clip from an Avedon documentary, and it happened very soon after. Whitney Balliet wrote a piece, and I was photographed by Avedon, and I went zoom. And unbelievable amounts of blessings from above.
Now, there's someone that you've performed with a lot. Let me see, Jeff Harner, I think is his name.
Oh yeah, just a little known name like that.
I'm going to be interviewing him in a couple of weeks. I'm very excited about that. You have such a magic and chemistry together. Did that just, I mean, from the very beginning?
I think it was pretty instantaneous. We were put together at the Cabaret convention. It's so long now that I can't remember when it started. But we started singing together. I just adored him from the first second I saw him. And then we've always had a spark. I mean, it's a real spark. And we love to perform together. And we get each other's jokes.
It shows.
And we've done so many different shows together. We adore each other.
We all love you here. What are some of the other rooms outside of New York? I mean, you mentioned the plush room.
Well,
I missed the plush room. I followed you at the plush room.
The original plush room was one of the best laid out rooms I've ever been in. One of the warmest rooms, one of the most beautiful. The gardenia, of course, is my homeroom. And when I first saw the gardenia, I also thought, this is impossible. I can't possibly sing in a room where the door to the street is right behind me.
Now,
I said no to Tom Rolla so many times. I said, I can't sing in your room. The street is right there, and the door is right there. People could come in the middle of the show. But I turned that into a blessing.
Good for you. Now,
yeah.
I want to give a full disclosure here, because just before we went live today, we had a little trouble getting there, but thanks to my friend Chuck, my assistant, he got you on and everything. Has it been difficult for you to adjust to this way of doing things? And that will bring us to your next project that's coming up.
Well, absolutely. I've actually held back. So many people have gone virtual, and it's been a year. And I haven't done it until now. I've just thought it was not for me because of missing people so desperately.
But you've done film work, so I've
done film, and of course I've done a lot of Zoom auditions, and I've enjoyed them very much. I actually like auditioning by Zoom. I almost prefer it at this point, because you don't have to park. It's fabulous. You don't have to park your car.
Before we get there, I mean, the most recent thing that I've seen you in was Baskets.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful work on this. How did that come about? Did they reach out?
An audition that I had a lot of guts for. That's one of those auditions that I said, a little bit of trickery. I went in as the part, as the role, and I was very determined to get that part. I don't think I've ever been more determined to get a part.
What was it about that part that gravitated to you?
Well, she was a life coach, and I've had a life. I've had a couple or three, and I knew a lot about that woman, and I just was so sure that that was the right part for me.
Well, speaking of
played her, I had it memorized. I was ready to go. And when I had the second, when I had the call back, Zach Galifianakis was there, and he was going to keep his head in the script. And that was what I was talking about an audition. I would not let him keep his head in the script. I just wouldn't. I went,
Good for you.
I'm here.
Now, a couple of years ago, you directed our mutual friend Ann Kittredge in her show. Incredible, incredible show. Had you done a lot of directing prior to this, or was this a whole new realm
Well,
for you?
I first started teaching at Perry Mansfield about 8-9 years ago, along with Shelley Markham, my musical director, and along with Barry Kleinbort and a whole group, Chris Denny, and we had a wonderful teaching thing out in Colorado. So I had been teaching. Directing, I was dabbling. But in terms of directing a full-scale production like I did for her, it was one of the first, and I'm thrilled with her and thrilled with the way that turned out. I think that was gorgeous. I think she's an amazing talent. And we collaborated very well together, and then coming up with the idea was the most important thing. Coming up with a plan, a plot, a theme. And once we did the research, oh gosh, it was the best thrill. And then staging it and then being at 54 Below with her, it was very, very good.
That was great. It was just really wonderful. So getting back to a Kern Valentine, Valentine's Day evening, people can go and I'm going to put all the links on my Facebook page. So it'll be very easy. And you are also raising money for the Actors Fund.
Absolutely.
So I applaud you for that.
We're already 60% of our original goal.
Oh, wow. Wow. And what for you personally, if you can tell everyone who may not know what the importance of the Actors Fund, especially now.
Well, especially now when their actors are there's no work, there's nothing that they can do. But the Actors Fund is very far reaching. It will do so many things. It helps get housing. If you're late on your rent, sometimes you can get help from the Actors Fund. They help the elderly as well. They're a far-reaching organization. They'll help you with your health care. The Actors Fund will help you find your insurance. They're just the best. It's a very important organization.
Now, you chose Kern for Valentine's Day, and this is a brand new show.
Yes.
Why?
Well, it's based on my Just Kern, which I did 100 years ago. A long time ago. I was going to do a Kern Valentine at the Gardenia this February, because I always do a Gardenia show in February. And of course, my club is closed, so I couldn't do it. So I took a piece of it. It's not a very, very long show because this is virtual, you know. I mean, you can't.
What is wonderful about that is that you're going to
stay on very long.
But you're also going to be taking questions from the audience afterwards.
Yeah, right.
How is that being
That's done? Different. It's going to be the Facebook will go live after the show is shown. See, what I did was I waited until I could use the medium in a way that I knew was right for me. I recorded the tracks of the songs at my piano in my home. Then I took that track in my computer and I sang live to that track in a studio in Burbank. So it's no earphones, no plugs in my ears, no nonsense. So I could communicate very directly to the camera. And it's an interesting other way of doing it. It was the way that I needed to do it. And when I discovered that, then that's when I could go virtual.
Now, will this be available for those who may not be able to tune in on the 13th?
Yeah, for a week.
Valentine's Day. So it's going to be there for a week. And, you know, are you already thinking about other projects that you're going to be doing virtually?
Yeah. I want to do another one in the spring. I already am rehearsing it. And then, of course, I'm thinking about what I want to do in 2023.
Good
for you. When the theaters open up and There's a kind of one-woman show I'm thinking about.
Oh, that's wonderful. Will it be autobiographical, or is it?
Yeah, very much so.
Wonderful.
Very much so. I'd like to spill the beans.
We got an exclusive today. So I want to ask and of course, I'm going to ask you a question that you definitely don't have an answer to. It's only on speculation. How do you anticipate Cabaret especially coming back?
Oh, with a vengeance. Do you know how pent up we are? I expect it to come back because people are desperate for touch.
Mm-hmm.
Desperate for emotion. And once we're able to get back out and be near each other again,
Mm-hmm.
the small club will be so much in demand. I wouldn't be surprised if the Algonquin opened again.
Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Would that be so devoutly to be wished?
I want to ask you, where were you when you heard that they were shutting that room down? And it must have felt like a knife going through your soul.
I felt truly like a bird that had been shot down from the sky. A songbird.
Mm-hmm.
I heard rumors in my last engagement. I heard rumors that they were going to close the room. But I didn't know for sure until I got the same brutal form letter that was sent to everyone. It was devastating. And I mourned for a solid year, you know. I mean, there was no kind of dealing with it other than mourning it. There was no replacement for it either, which is interesting.
No, I was going to ask, I mean, there definitely is. I mean, the Algonquin was an entity unto itself.
Yeah.
But is there any other room that you have played, and of course you played many rooms, that gives you that same sense of satisfaction?
I'll explain why there isn't. And it's going to be interesting to you. Because it's not the room and it's not the singing in the room. It's the aftermath. The Algonquin provided a lobby that was instantaneous right after the show where you could meet and greet instantly. So much of what I used to do at the Algonquin was embrace, meet, touch. I knew people. Now, I did the Carlisle, but the lobby was all sort of, you had to go around and down, and so many people would just leave. They wouldn't come to say hello. At 54 Below, you're ushered out as fast as possible. Joe's Pub, out as fast. You have to go. Go, 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 go. Go as fast as you can. That's not the way I perform.
Mm-hmm.
I used to know whether people were sick, whether they were well, whether the husband was still alive, whether the sister had cancer. I used to know this stuff. I used to heal in my own way. I'm a doctor's daughter. The gift I had was healing. That was all stripped away from me when they took the Algonquin away.
Wow.
Singing for me was just part of it. It was the after that was important to me.
Now I've got a two-part question. Number one, with everything that you've done, is there anything that's still out there that you haven't done that you're still working towards?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Long Day's Journey into Night. Serious theater. Absolutely. Ready to do it. Dying.
Out there, let's make it happen.
Dying to do it.
And when the Algonquin comes back, and you were there for the opening night, what do you hope that show will be? In your mind's eye, let's visualize it now.
Honest. it'll be a nice combination of writers that are alive so that we can sustain the art of songwriting.
Mm-hmm.
And I bet you'll hear as time goes by.
That's wonderful. Well, I can't believe it. We're at the end of our show. I hope it wasn't painful for you. I hope it was fun.
Oh my gosh, no.
I love this so much. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's show, and I hope you did. Ann Kittredge, I see you there. So thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed the show today, and if you haven't done so already, please go to my website, richardskipper.com. Sign my guest book with your thoughts about the show. That helps to boost me in other markets. I also want to let you all know that tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock, I'm going to be celebrating Kathy Buckley. No labels, no limits. This gift called life. Do you know Kathy?
No.
Okay. She, as a small child, had spinal meningitis, and it took her hearing away completely. And she's a deaf comedian. So we talk about music and how lucky we are. But she has risen above it, and she is one of the funniest, most uplifting people that I've ever had the chance to encounter. So I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. I also end every show by telling everyone to go out and do something nice for somebody else without expecting anything in return. What you can do is Andrea is going to be performing on Sunday night, Valentine's Day. Buy a ticket for a friend. Let them know about it. And you'll also be not only bring someone to the show who is not familiar with her work. And you're also benefiting the Actors Fund. And it's like dominoes. It will give and give and give and give. Andrea, I love you so much. I'm so thrilled that you joined us today. And I'd like to ask you, I'm going to give you the final word. Anything that you want to expound upon that we talked about, that you want to build upon, anything that we didn't talk about that you wish we had, or just any message that you want to put out to the world right now. And thank you for all you do. You're the best.
Just continue to believe that if we really do love each other, we can turn this darkness that's in our country, we can turn it around. We really have to turn it around. We can take care of each other and pray that we can turn this darkness, this period of darkness and unbelievable inequality around. I think we can do it.
Amen. Thank you.